Now, Lagos State Government has rolled out a $20 million coronavirus action recovery and economic stimulus program called Lagos Cares to support livelihood for poor and vulnerable households and to expand food security services in the state. The program, which will be implemented for 24 months, is being funded through $750 million facility secured from the World Bank by the federal government for Nigeria Cares project. Other states also benefited from the stimulus program. The program encompasses 3 key result areas, including increasing cash transfers and livelihood support to poor and vulnerable households, increasing food security and safe functioning of food supply chains for poor households, and facilitating the recovery of micro and small enterprises, MSMEs, while strengthening institutional support for coordination and delivery. So for more on the launch, Teju Abisoye, a lawyer with experience in development finance and project management and monitoring and evaluation, and currently the CEO of the Executive Secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, is with us here in the studio. Good to have you.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the figures and it's really impressive to look at. It says, the Lagos Cares will directly support over 20,000 households. Then you're going to be reaching out to benefiting over 4,500 farmers, and your special area, over 1,000 MSMEs. Please give us a kind of overview of how this is to happen.
Okay, thank you very much. So basically what the CARES program is to do is to limit the effect of the pandemic on livelihoods, businesses in Lagos generally. It's across the country, but Lagos, our target areas, is first livelihoods, households, agriculture, improving the food security, and then making sure that micro, small, and medium enterprises can recover pretty quickly from the effects of the pandemic. For the first area around increasing the social transfers, cash transfers to vulnerable people, we're going to be managing that through 3 different ministries. Ministry of Wealth, Creation, and Employment, that have a verified register for people in the vulnerable group. We're also going to be doing it through the SDGs, Office of the SDGs, through a volunteer call program. And then for the household, livelihoods of households, we're going to be anchored by the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. And the idea is that they have verified the people, the households, and the individuals that are going to get this grant transfers, because they're cash transfers, they're grants, and they're gone. So we want to make sure that they're going to the right people. For agriculture, which is being managed under the Ministry of Agriculture, particularly the Fadama project, which was sponsored by the World Bank in the initial stages, is also now seeking to provide inputs to farmers, not just seedlings, equipment, to improve the road networks for farms, to make sure that we can provide access to micro-processing units in groups for different farms. And of course, the one that LSCTF is very concerned about is the recovery for micro, small enterprises in Lagos State. In this area, we have 3 result areas, and this program is directly linked to results. So I want this to be very clear. You only get your money based on the results you are able to demonstrate in Lagos State. So for us, we're going to be providing 1 conditional grant under loan. So it's a conditional loan grant, which means that if you already have an existing facility from a commercial bank that is creating much of a bottleneck for you to recover from the pandemic issues, we will provide up to 40% as a grant for that particular commercial paper. The second one is under that particular, again, is operational grants. This is to protect employment. So it's like a paycheck protection program where we're saying that instead of it to sack people, we'll pay for your operations, as long the ones we can prove that you can provide evidence that you spent on rent, on human resources, operational grants that are your utilities, things that we can definitely verify. We can provide up to 6 months operational grants for each business. And the third area is also to enable businesses adopt technology. How do we improve e-commerce, digital financial services? How do we make sure businesses now understand something as simple as a laptop, if that's what the issue is? How do we help you enhance your business with as much technological tools as possible? In this space, we are supporting over 2,000 before the end of 24 months, we want to be able to support over 2,000 plus businesses across the different DLIs. By this, we mean direct disbursement linked indicators. So every disbursement must be linked to any of these three DLIs.
But it's great to make the clarification so people don't think this is another national cake or state cake and we can have a bite of it and default and not get back. But let me ask you how this is different from the programs the Lagos state government had put in place to cushion the effect of COVID-19, such as the 5 billion naira for the low-cost schools or the 5 billion naira for MSMEs to recover, or the 1 billion naira support fund for businesses in the hospitality sector and others. How is this so different from those ones?
So those ones are purely loans. They're just low interest rate loans. So what we did with those structures was to make sure that they could get a subsidy on the interest rate. So instead of paying commercial, you could actually get them at single-digit interest rates. But these are purely grants that are going to support the recovery of the most vulnerable businesses. So it's not just any business that is entitled to this program in particular. You have to show vulnerability, that once you don't get this grant, you can't recover. You almost can rather close shop than try to continue to work. Because at the end of the day, LSCTF is very concerned about protection of employment. So how do we make sure that all these vulnerable businesses that have been adversely affected can quickly get back into the economy?
And let me just add a follow-up to that. So I know there's a lot of focus on agriculture in Lagos State at the moment, and you've also said there's something for agriculture, but is this sector driven? Apart from agriculture, are there sectors you're prioritizing, or just any businesses across board?
For us, it's really any business across board. Agriculture is important for food security and to also help make sure that farmers get the right input at this time. A lot of them cannot afford it. A lot of them have, complained about different things and what COVID had done to their farm experience. So we're like, what can we do to improve this recovery for the farmers?
Before you go, I know you'll tell people how they can apply for this, but before we get to that, like Oliver Twist, some would say is 24 months enough? Is $20 million enough? Is there some sort of follow-up to ensure that beyond this program, people don't then fall back and find themselves lacking again?
So that's why there is a monitoring process as well. So while we would give you the grants for recovery, the loans will still also be available to the business. So some people cannot afford a loan at the moment. All they need is a grant. And the idea is to really look at those businesses. It's it's going to be a pretty rigorous process to benefit from the grant.
Okay.
Because there's the verification, there's term sheet evaluation, there are lots going to go on with each business to get the grant. And then knowing fully well that if the grant stops being paid, it doesn't mean that the business will still collapse. What we're just saying is people that need a cushion for up to 6 months before they can get back into the game of being self-sustaining again.
Okay, so you're actually going to select the businesses you sponsor based on the fact that they can get back on their feet after 6 months?
Yes. Yeah, that's very important, very crucial.
and how to apply for this grant. But just talking about the criteria that you need to meet to be able to access this grant. Some people may say, how rigorous is it? Do I have to provide my great-grandmother's tooth to be able to access this? Because that's a complaint we see recurring most times. It's so difficult to access these loans or these grants.
So what has happened for example, with the recovery, we had a recovery grant that we actually disbursed after the NSAS event. It was basically tied to the physical verification, mainly because what we're saying is, how do we remove we just need to know that you were existing before COVID.
Okay.
You were doing business before COVID. The effect of not selling or not opening shop for a particular period of time adversely affected your cash flow and is causing a problem for you. And that's really what we're trying to establish by the verification process. So we will have physical verification. We're going to have people go out to confirm this business exists. You're going to have to provide records pre-COVID.
Sorry, you're coming to an end. So can you quickly just tell people watching what they can do to access?
So like I was trying to say, there are going to be different ministries actually handling the different initiatives. But for the LSCTF, the MSME grant, it's going to be live on Monday. Our target is May 1st, but it will be live by Monday through lsctf.ng. That's the same way. And go to grant programs to do your applications.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
It was a pleasure.